So yeah, we have Jason, and who else do we have here? I see.
My name's Kayla, if you're looking at my...
I got the K, I'm like, what the K stand for? Yeah.
Kayla.
Kayla, all right. Well, nice to have you as well.
Thank you.
I will get into this. I'm excited to, yeah, Wisdom Circle, the idea is we have just in the community with other people, there's a lot of wisdom we each have, and we can share that with others, and or just help other people find the wisdom they might already have the answers, and just help coach them to get there asking the right questions to see it a different way. And because we all got different backgrounds, experiences. So I've always loved being in peer groups. I'm in a number of them myself, and so we're providing this for our customers as well. So the agenda is I'll go through how we do the roundtable, and then quick highlights on videos we've done recently. And then the topic I wanted to present is around Traction 90-day rocks. Are either of you using the Traction EOS, or have read it or engaged with it?
Yes.
Nice. Yeah.
We use it, and I am almost done with the What the Heck is EOS book.
Nice. Yeah, we give that to each of our employees. It's kind of a mandatory reading when they start, is read the What the Heck book.
Exactly. I'm about 1 month in, so.
Nice. Okay. What about yourselves, Jason? Do you guys use Traction?
We do not, and I have not heard about the book What the Heck, so I've already learned something this meeting. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully you'll get more than that, and then we'll talk about, I'll explain what rocks are and such, and then how to use them with your PSA. Are you both ConnectWise or Autotask?
ConnectWise.
Yeah, we're ConnectWise. Yeah, ConnectWise manage.
Yeah, good. Us too. All right, speaking the same language.
Nice.
And then roundtable, and then, all right. So with the roundtable, we do a quick intro. Well, normally recommend keeping it tight, because if everyone takes 5 minutes to introduce themselves, we run out of time to actually discuss real issues. And then, yeah, wins from the last 90 days that we can share with each other, share those, the good news going on, what are you learning, wisdom, maybe more obstacles or things you learned the hard way. And then what's your number one challenge? What are you confused with about or frustrated with? What context do we need to know? And perhaps what are some options you've considered, or what are you leaning towards? And then how we can help. And then the other people may ask some clarifying questions to get to the bottom of it. So it's good to not just look at the top level issue, but to dig deep, like what's the real root issue, and then help you solve that. All right, so quick peek on what we're doing, what's coming up in the roadmap. We're doing a whole new reporting and analytics module to integration with something called Nave, which is like burn down charts. The example on the screen is a cumulative flow diagram. There's all these sort of agile, lean standard graphs that have been around for many years that we'll have available to Kanban clients. So it's, as far as top left goes, it'll be free, but you got to pay this other company for their reports. So that'll be coming out. And the idea is to look at the bigger picture. How are your projects flowing? How's your service tickets flowing? And then we've been doing more and more videos on our YouTube channel. I'm pushing out a few every month. So here's a screenshot of what's there. Obviously webinar recordings, but individual topics that are between 3 and 10 minutes. So longer ones and shorter ones, cherry picking projects, leadership, emotional intelligence, all sorts of things. Then I did a video recently on highlights from last year. What are the top 7 changes, new features that we rolled out, as well as a sneak peek what's coming up, which is the reporting. There's we're doing a new UI, updating that, so it's more of a modern web experience. So we're doing a bunch of work on that this quarter to totally rebuild that new theme, a lot more user friendly, and then more things to help improve the technician experience. And then we may not know this, but we have announcements built in with something called Announce Kit. So you can see that in the top right of the app. And then you can also subscribe, so it'll drop you an email when there's new features and such rolled out. So I encourage your team to sign up for those. And then I did a discussion recently with James from C-Level Operations. I don't know if you've heard of them. They've been in North America. They became part of PAX 8, but in Australia, New Zealand, they kind of run separately. So I'm doing a weekly kind of a podcast with James. I got another session this afternoon that we're recording. And so we talked about PSAs and projects last time. Today, we're going to talk about project scoping. So that's something we record and then share out later. And then I did a video introducing Traction EOS in the MSP context, which is 13 minutes. That's up on YouTube. So introduce Traction, what it is, and how I've used it in my 2 MSPs and top left. This is kind of a good introduction to that. And then today I want to talk about using top left to crush your quarterly rocks. So what is a rock? I guess Kayla, you will know what this is, but the concept is if we understanding what is important and then focusing on that, because we can get so busy with tickets and activities and fires and all the small stuff in life in our business, and then the important things get squished out and don't happen. So the idea is if you fill your jar with water, you're not gonna be able to add sand, it's gonna overflow, or you're never gonna be able to fit the pebbles of the rocks. So if you flip it around, you put your rocks in, your pebbles can still settle down in between the cracks. Your sand, you can still pour in sand, it goes between the cracks and the pebbles, and you can still add a bunch of water. So we start with the big priorities. So the idea with traction rocks is, let's say with a team, it might be between 3 and 5 rocks for the quarter for a 90-day period. So you plan it out, get clear on it, execute through the quarter, and then at the next 90 days, get together as a leadership team, see how did it go, and go on from there. So every quarter we're doing a number of rocks, getting them done and on to the next one. Let's speak with example. Rocks might be switching your antivirus from one vendor to another. It could be, it's not a 5-hour, 10-hour thing. It's a significant effort. It's communication, marketing, whatever it might be. Improving technician onboarding experience for a new hire. Could be hiring your first salesperson, developing new pricing and packaging or revamping that, evaluating backup disaster recovery vendors. That could be a bunch of work if you already have something and what meets our needs or client needs. That's a bunch of work. We've had rocks for that. Could be we want to update our website with client testimonials. We got to collect them and edit them and publish them. It's a coordinated effort to do that. It kind of depends on the maturity of the organization, the scale, how big the team is, those sorts of things. But it's about something new. It shouldn't be fixing something you've already had or business as usual. Like for us, we want to have a rock of hiring a technician because we got job postings, we got a process, we got an HR person. So if we need another tech, we go hire, it doesn't become a rock. But if we're going to do another salesperson and don't have one, then hey, that might be a rock to get clear on the job description. So those are examples. And then, so key thing I've learned in about 10 years of doing traction is making sure we're setting up the team to win. Be really clear on the why. Why are we doing this? What's the objective? And what are the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely results? It is as we get through the quarter, I've seen the trap where we think we're on track. Hey, I'm about to start it. Yeah, I'm on track to finish it. And we get to the 3rd month, we're like, yeah, I'm only 5% in. We want to be able to measure the results every single week and keep them moving forward. And it's got to be clear so that when we get to the end of the quarter, that leadership team who agreed on that rock still agrees on what the definition was. But it can't be like, I thought it was this or I thought it was that. And so being really objective on that. Designed for early and ongoing results so that if we start in January 1st, by the 2nd, 3rd week, there should be something to show. So early value, deliver it early, not bottling it up for the end of the quarter. And then we got to launch it after that. It just takes too long. Visualize it, basically keeping it alive so it doesn't die, doesn't get forgotten. Integrate to your daily workflow. This is not additional work. It's part of people's jobs. It can't be that they're working weekends to do the rock. That's not at all the goal. It should be part of what they do every day, every week, every month. So I'll get into that with the ticket flow. Yeah, so it needs to be on their calendar, needs to happen. But it shouldn't be also, to the rock concept, the rock should not completely fill the jar. That's a problem. There still needs to be room for the pebbles and the sand and the water. So they still have their regular job, and this rock is part of that job. Designed for teamwork, because if you've got, what I've seen, if you've got 5 people each with their own rocks, they're all determined to do their own. They're working in silos. It's like they're each doing their own golf game. And we want them to work together, it gets done quicker. You're better off to do one rock at a time, crush it onto the next, work together as a team. So think about how to incorporate that. Less is more. We've just made that mistake so many times. We still make it of the rocks are too large and too many because we're like, these are important things, we've got to get them done. But if everything is important, then nothing is. And a losing culture is just so toxic. So better off to cut it back, reduce the scope, those sorts of things, and set the team up to win. All right, so leveraging your PSA, I wanted to talk about that. So there's different ways to do this. Work is a rudimentary way is, well, some organizations, they do rocks and they're not even really tracking time at all. They're like, oh, we're not billing the client, so doesn't even go in their PSA. It's just outside in whatever Word docs. So at least at level 0 is track the time as a charge code, and then your work might be in Word or Excel or something. Level 1 is you could do a single ticket for each rock, and then you could have checklists on the tasks for tactics. So checklists on the ticket for the tactics. And then you could have a budget. You say this is I would think 50 hours, 100 hours. Then as the time gets entered, we can kind of track, is the person spending time on it? But if they're halfway through the quarter and they've only got 5 hours, then you've definitely got a problem. So at least it's getting tracked. Level 2, it would be use a project with a ticket for each of the items in there. And this gets into project management of, we've got this initiative of, let's say a new sales hire or this RMM change or AV change is breaking it down so work can be completed easily. We don't want 10 tickets that they're all open until everything is done and they all get closed, because we can't see how's it progressing. So try set up the tickets so they could do one a week. So do one, get it done, and move on to the next one. So that's basically agile. And Jason is switching over. And then you could put the projects on their own PSA board in ConnectWise, their own project board, which makes the reporting in the top left a lot easier. So I come back to that later. And then next level up is using project templates. Again, you can use this for any project you do, of course, but also for the rocks of the startup and completion. It might be, we need to schedule time. We need to launch it to the team. We need to create the documentation. And then the wrap up is, how do you keep this not as a one-time effort, but keep it alive as a new process in the company? And then in the templates, you can link in SOPs for different things you have, whether it's wherever your SOPs are, IT Glue, we use Wiki, could be SharePoint, different things. So point there is leverage the PSA. This is just more, this is regular workflow going on in the company. So agile top left ideas, how to do this in top left. So first option is you could set up a dedicated board for rocks. In top left. So you might have your regular service board, your regular tech projects, and then you could have a board just showing the rocks, how are they doing? So you could do, if you're doing the projects, you could do a swim lane by projects and then see what are the tickets for each rock, how are they moving along? You could filter by the PSA board to quickly identify the rocks. So if you put it amongst your regular IT projects, it's gonna be hard to pick them out. You have to pick them out one by one, which means every quarter you got to update your board filter. So the easiest is to have a dedicated board. And then you can start thinking about how to visualize the neglected work. So which rocks are lingering? We want them to be rolling forward every single week. If you got 12 weeks in a quarter and you got 2 weeks of kind of wrap up and meetings and launching it, then you got 10 weeks. So is it moving forward 10% every week? So you can do that with neglected work settings in top left. Is it no time entered? Is it been sitting in this column for too long? Those sorts of things. A lot you can do there. Set due dates for the critical tickets. So it'll pop up like a sore thumb if somebody's slipping on the due dates. And then visual rules to meet your needs. Could be borders, backgrounds, colors. So standard features on top left. And then minimize WIP. So minimize work in progress is make sure people, and not one person shouldn't be doing 2 or 3 rocks at once. It should be one rock they own. And then one ticket at a time, not trying to do 10 at once. Do one, on to the next. And treat it as important as client work. These things are so important that you got to take care of the company as well. So that the growth, the new hires, the processes. So it's got to happen. It can't be like, we were too busy with clients, because it's going to hurt you down the road. So just prioritizing properly there. So that's quick maybe a Firestream introduction to traction for you there, Jason, and the idea of rocks and using that in ConnectWise and top left. Because we've got just the two of you, got lots of time. Do you have any questions or feedback or anything to add to this?
No, I mean, not using traction or hearing of that book before or talking about rocks. I've heard similar metaphors. I'd say that we're doing similar processes at work, ensuring that we call, identifying them highest priority type work. So it's not necessarily a rock, but we've also talked about that as well too, where, making sure certain resources are not spread too thin, right? Trying to make sure there's sort of a single source of responsibility. So they are conversations that I think we're having on a weekly basis. And I will say top left has made it a lot easier to have those conversations because of the visual aspect. It's very easy to move things around and just visually see what's happening.
Yeah. Getting all their work onto one screen is important, because if these important projects are not happening within PSA and it's not on their board, it's like, oh, why is your regular work slipping? Well, I'm doing the other stuff. So you got to get it all in one place.
Mm-hmm. I would say maybe just in general, maybe more of our struggle is, it's more probably on the ConnectWise side, where to put the work, how to organize the work, how to categorize the work, just so we can properly create, a top left board. I think there's sometimes crossing of terminology, top left board versus ConnectWise board. We say the word board. What board are we talking about? So there is a little bit of confusion at times when we talk about boards, but I think most of our difficulty is in ConnectWise, which is why top left actually makes it easier to use, because it gets rid of some of those issues for us.
Yeah, could actually sing Kanban board or top left board, because the actual right word is Kanban. Kanban means like a visual board. That's already in the Japanese word. So just calling it a Kanban is actually sufficient.
Yeah, that could be sufficient, just to differentiate the idea of, well, what board are you talking about type of concept. But
yeah,
that might be just an internal, culture thing just to get used to as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Kayla, any suggestions or ideas based on that?
Not really. I'm just kind of soaking it all in. Like I said, I've only been doing it for about a month, so
Yeah.
just trying to gather some details and see how it works for everyone else.
Just to ask the question, Kayla, I mean, why did you start using top left? I mean, what struggles were you having, and why did you use it?
To track rogue tickets and to just get a better visual of how things are moving, because it can be a little bit hard in ConnectWise sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'll add here that we are, I'm probably going too fast in here. We're a software development company, and so our main task is software development. And from again, a ConnectWise managed perspective, it doesn't feel like ConnectWise is really development friendly. It's service ticket friendly. It's open close tickets, customer communication, a lot of that stuff it does very well. But from a software development process, there's a lot of better tools out there, I guess, to use than just ConnectWise. Most notably, we were using Trello, and then what happens at that point in time is that we had either duplicate information, no information, or just didn't know where to look because, well, is it in ConnectWise or is it in Trello? And so top left for us was sort of it looks very Trello-like. It has a lot of Trello capabilities. It's the Kanban tool, as they've mentioned, but it was built on top of ConnectWise, which is where all of our data is stored.
We don't have it implemented company-wide. It was just something that a previous department manager had started playing around with to see if it would be helpful. So we haven't dug too far into it at this point.
Yeah, that's good. We use it company-wide too. We use it for software development. It's still probably the biggest pain point, but our sales department uses it. I work with our hardware support team. They use it. We have a third-party vendor that's an extended kind of piece of our support. They actually operate inside of it. And again, it's a very good visual tool for everybody to see, mostly again, the WIP, the work in process type stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Jason. I got your email feedback as well yesterday. I just haven't had a chance to respond to that.
Sure. I think you probably sent it to our CEO, Dan Hornung. He sent it to Ryan Manis and myself internally and kind of said, hey, you guys answer. Ryan and I are kind of the ones that lead the effort as far as, rolling out top left, how we're utilizing it, adding features, functionality, making tweaks and changes along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I read that feedback. That's great about, hey, what's working and then what would help to provide more value for everybody. So I'll get back to you on that. But the good news is a lot of that is on the roadmap for the next 3 months.
Yeah, I did see, UI and look and feel is great to hear. I struggle with more integration into ConnectWise would be nice. At the same time, I don't want you guys to spend all of your time just building ConnectWise, right? You want to add something to ConnectWise, not necessarily just duplicate it. So
yeah,
I struggle.
But it's just what we find that we can add new things and more agile things, and that's great. But then the techs are like, well, we can't do standard notes, or because we can't create a ticket, we're going to go back to ConnectWise. Like they need enough base features there, like the attachment. Like otherwise they get sucked back into the PSA, and we can't say just use the PSA for the stuff we don't have, because that's just pushing them away. We want to keep them in there so that they got to be working the top left away. Like these are ranked tickets. They should grab from the top of the next column, pull that ticket forward. That's pull-based work, and you can't do that if you're going back and forth or reverting to your PSA all the time. We've gotten through a lot of that standard PSA stuff. There's just a few things like create a ticket, which because we have the edit ticket, the create ticket will be pretty straightforward. And then the attachments, a couple more things. We're getting so close. And then the reporting is coming as well. So with Nave, so we'd love to get you in there as an early adopter. Like really, it was only this week or last week that we got the first version going. So we'll connect about that. Yeah.
I'm sure we're certainly willing to help out.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. All right. So the wisdom circle, see how this goes. This will be a bit more informal, but so introductions, just recap what I went through before. Introductions, what are the wins, recent wins, what are you learning? And the challenge. And then I tend to, because I got my experience as MSP and doing this for a bit, well, I like to go last. So I'm happy to contribute and provide lots of value and help you out. I always like everyone else to go first. So that's my mode there. Okay, so I'll stop that sharing. So yeah, Jason, so you're VP at
VP Technology Solutions. It's our company's called Roydan Enterprises. We'll actually be known as Bloodhound Software again here pretty soon. We went through a couple name changes, but we develop debt collection software. So the joke always is we're not the bad guys collecting the debt. We create the software that we sell to the debt collection agencies in which they collect the debt. So I'll be there for about 15 years now in March. So again, I started as a software developer, kind of moved to software development manager. I now work with our third-party hosting provider as well as internal IT and software development. We're only a company of about 25 to 30 individuals. So again, I wear lots of hats, just being there for that long time and understanding the business.
Yeah.
So that's my background.
Good. And what are some wins that you guys have had or you've had in the last few months?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it towards the top left in ConnectWise area. I mean, we're utilizing it, I'll say more and more, meaning we had software developers again in Trello resisting to use ConnectWise, resistance to top left. They preferred Trello. But again, we're all on the same page that it's frustrating to constantly be looking for something. It's frustrating to constantly have 4 different lists of priorities that don't really merge together. It's frustrating to duplicate information. And so we've all agreed that ConnectWise is going to be our source of information. And we're trying to embrace more top left more and more. And again, that's probably going to see some critiques from us, is that we're going to have some software developers who really like Trello in all their ways. And so they're going to be looking for ease of use. And so that's the agreement we've made with, I'll say, the challenging internal customers we'll have. But I get for the most part, we've implemented, like you said, we've implemented colors. We have priorities. We're using the auto sort functionality. So when we put tickets into a column, it sort of just ranks itself to a certain extent. Yeah, again, I think it's really good for the work in progress. I think what we still struggle with is, our backlogs. We have a backlog of 300 items that need to be done. We do our best to add a priority to it. We have a column on our top left board, but again, when you have 300 items, it's kind of hard to get an overall picture of all that work. So our challenges is really going through and saying no to some of that work, which again, we've actually been able to say no to some of this work. So that's a win for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll add to the project. We're using projects within ConnectWise more. And so again, using top left, we found good ways to take our service boards and project boards and sort of mix match like you said, here's maybe the rocks or the big projects going on. But hey, there's bug fixes, there's service tickets, there's things that we need to do as well. And so again, being able to merge those into one single view, we can now say, this is all the work going on, not, hey, here's the project work going on, here's the service work going on, and not really having a way to tie the two together.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of wins. I'll kind of stop talking until I talked a lot here. There's a couple of wins that we've had.
Yeah. No, I'm grateful for that, because it's one of the number one metric we look at is active users. So people, hey, maybe they're paying us 10 or 30 users, but how many of them are actually active every day? That's what we look at. So all our messaging or features is like, how do we get every single tech and manager in it more often? Make it more addictive, right? So
I mean, we have daily stand-ups in our development environment. So we are looking at the board every single day as a group. And then for some developers who just say, tell me what to work on, right? We have different levels of, I'll say, interest as far as prioritizing work. We've been able to create, again, different swim lanes and views to say, this developer, you just go to this board and this view and grab off the top of your list, like you said. So there's really no question as to what they should work on next. It's always prioritized for them. We have our development prioritization meetings. We use this board. It's the only thing that we look at. We do not go into ConnectWise anymore. We ensure that we use the board. Our third-party meetings, we're using this board. So I mean, from us, I'd say we're using the board quite actively.
you do a screen share and show the board to your clients?
We have not gone that far yet.
Or what parties then?
Third parties are hosting providers. So it's kind of a direct business relationship that we have with them. So they actually log into top left with their own user. So they have a user within our ConnectWise system, as well as we have them a top left user. So that way we're not working out of their ticketing system. They're not using their ticketing system and then us shadow that ticket in some fashion. They're working directly out of our ConnectWise instance. And then again, having them inside top left just allows us to easily set their priorities as well, right? They're an extension of us, but they're not our company. So for us to just quickly go, let me slide a card up and down, left, right, or whatever it needs to be. And all they have to do is visually look at what is the next card I work on. Super helpful. Avoids 10,000 emails coming from different people and then trying to put all that together to go, what's my highest priority ticket to work on?
Love it.
Being disciplined at doing that, so ensuring that that list is accurate is important then, right? Because we've trained our employees to say, grab from the top card better be the correct card to work on.
Yeah. So yeah, I need people watching that to make sure it is always the right thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Ready to work. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, for us, we're just becoming more and more disciplined. I mean, I think we have a pretty good flow. We have our retrospectives after our sort of 2-week development iterations, and we're just becoming more and more disciplined and trying to find more and more ways to use it. So I think we're tweaking things, we're enhancing it at this point in time versus trying to figure out how to use it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're using it for very extensively. The next big thing will be their reports. Yeah, you guys would be a great case for that because of the discipline and the activity you already have. Yeah.
I'll just say the unique challenge that we're going to have that would help us, this is a little bit more detailed, is from our SOC auditing purposes, we have users within ConnectWise. So when a user makes a change, there's an audit trail. When we use top left, because it's going through the API, it leaves an audit trail with the top left API member as the user that made that change. So
Okay.
what we can't do is go in the top left, and we can link those users together with IDs and verify who that actually was that made that change. But if there's a way to make that clear, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think it warns you that, but we do have, it's very easy for each user to go in and set up their API keys so that the audit log will show their name instead of the API user.
That might be it right there.
That's in there. It's in a knowledge base.
Yeah, that'd be big. If we have to set up API keys for each member in ConnectWise, we can certainly do that. But if that would mean that when they make a change in top left, it would correctly identify, say, Jay Gilman instead of top left, and then have top left ID 9 mapped to Jay Gilman user, we can get there. It's just not easy to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't normally do this because it's only 2 people. I wouldn't normally do this in a round circle, but I'll just do it. I'll show
Sure.
you. If you go on the top right, do you see top left here?
Yes, I do.
Top right, you go to account and you go ConnectWise member API keys. And there's a video on how to do it. And you copy paste your public private key.
Perfect.
And it's a 2-minute video.
I think that's exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah. And then I don't know if it shows you who's done it and not done it, but just tell everybody to do it. Oh yeah, here's a screen that shows you exactly who's done it. Yeah, your user list will show you. Do they have 2FA set up?
We do not right now, but that's something we should look into.
Yeah. And then you remember, yeah, and you can resend your invitations and stuff here as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the API keys is, I think, a key piece. I mean, again, we can get to it today. It's a very manual, tedious process. So that changes that's huge.
Yeah. I think what would be nice is to enforce it and say, hey, you can't use top left unless you can't edit tickets unless you set up your member API key. But right now it'll let them still do it.
Okay, thank you.
Good. So yeah, what's a business goal, the important thing, or just something you want to accomplish in the next couple months? Or what's a challenge you're working on that we can discuss or I can help with?
Oh boy. I mean, again, from our perspective, I'm not sure we can get into the details, but I mean, we're working on like a really new generation of our software. I mean, today our application is a client server application using a VPN client. So we're really trying to work on a web application and really rewrite our entire UI, as well as, I'll just say, rewrite some of our entire software package. It's not just a technology shift. It's that, as well as taking a fresh look at how we do things and willing to change and modify how we do things within our application today and not just port it over. So I'll share that right now what we're doing is we're using ConnectWise. We're putting together a project within ConnectWise. And again, what our next steps will probably be is how to then properly introduce that into our top left boards, as you said, sort of the daily workflow, as well as just how does this project look as a whole, like all these different views at the same data, I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Have you read the Phoenix Project book?
The Phoenix Project, it's funny you say that, because yes, I'm on chapter 12 of that right now. We're actively reading that book internally at Roundtable Jan. And yes, I'll say I'm reading it right now.
Because that it's not going to be clear from chapter 13. Those chapters are very short, so you're not very far through it yet. But as you get 2/3 of the way through, 3/4 of the way through, then they'll have your answer, because they have got this monolithic application, old school style. And it's like it's taken 3 years to get this new version called Phoenix launched.
Yeah.
And they come up with a rapid development method of kind of Scrum style DevOps automation, and start introducing certain features really quick. And that's how they saved the company.
Yes.
And that's yeah, that's where you'll later on, maybe, I don't know if it's chapter 13, but it's a bit later where they start using Kanban to visualize the work and what's going across people like Brent, the Brent character, who's
Yeah, Brent, yes.
spread too thin and all those things. So they basically use a Kanban process to control the work coming in and out of him and start peeling that away.
Yep.
Um,
No, I think it's funny because I mean that's what top left has sort of done for us from the visualization aspect is we've signed people resources. You can see a list of tickets, but now that we have this visual and easy thing to look at, I think our team is just more willing to engage and have the conversation. It's more enjoyable to look at and visualize than it is to just look at a big grid and ConnectWise and go, "There's 50 tickets." You know, hit next to see the next 50 tickets. It's not very easy and fun to work with, or can't really prioritize or organize anything that way.
yeah.
But yeah, thanks for the Phoenix project. It is funny because yes, we are actively reading that right now. It is a book that one of our software developers kind of recommended. I think our management team is kind of jumping on board with, hey, this is very similar to what's going on in our company right now, and trying to use this book as sort of a guide or a train. I don't know what the word I want to use is, but a little mentor on our way through this little journey as well.
Yeah, because I know I've been in software development for a while, and there's the whole thing of rewrite. Oh, let's rewrite, and then to rewrite the version 2 like never gets launched, and it's just a waste of time and money. It's just tons of money get poured into it, and it never launches, or it's buggy, or just goes crazy. So it's
that's where rewrite. And what good does a rewrite do you? Because like you said, by the time you're done rewriting it, you're kind of where you started, except for 2 years later. From a business logic standpoint, feature functionality, at least when reporting, technology, I guess is the word I want to use. Just putting a new UI on it isn't always the answer, at least for us, it's not. And we have too much technical baggage, I guess, too much architecture that needs to change, that, just putting a new UI on top of our application isn't an option anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, 2 years is that's a lot of WIP. That's work in progress. That's like inventory stuff. You're creating stuff and putting it into a warehouse. The idea is how do you, agile and lean is how do we do something even this sprint or in the next month or two, and it may not be feature rich, I have everything, but release something. It might just be a login page, but release something and keep iterating. That's what goes,
yeah, I was gonna ask you, so what we've done so far is sort of create phases within the project. So we'll have a project sort of laid out that says, okay, here's the whole entire project. And then what we've done is we've created like a phase 1, for example, or version 1.0. And then we've said, okay, these are the 15 tickets that need to be completed for version 1.0 to be considered complete. So it's still in that project as a whole. But when we create a board, I think we filter by like phase. So that way we can get a very distinct, say, this is the work that's in progress right now. And then we can create a different board that kind of visualizes that entire project as a whole to say, okay, that's where that phase fits according to all these other phases and stuff like that. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to break it down within ConnectWise that allows us to sort of use top left to visualize what we're trying to achieve in ConnectWise. So it's really using the two tools together, to be honest.
Yeah, there's the Kanban approach. Then you got Scrum, which you'll be familiar with, and you got Scrum Ban. Scrum is you can't, because we haven't built a product specifically for Scrum of doing story points and that sort of thing. But if you can kind of get close, if you're using the phases and the statuses, you can kind of get close to it. Scrum Ban, no problem, because it's just, you just create a status of like what's today, what's this week, what's next week, what's next month, and some great for next quarter. To kind of break down your backlog that way of, it's not like next phase or somewhere in the big backlog of 300 things, but how do we break it up into different buckets? Some things you can do there. Scrum Ban, you can look up, Google that. I got a video on that as well. I did like maybe 3 years ago. It's the older UI, but I showed how to do a Scrum Ban approach. But that's before. I think we now support swim lane by phase. I don't think we had that then. That's where I'm a little bit rusty with the features. Like, we're adding so much that I can't keep up with it. That's just, okay. Well, hope that was, I don't know, somewhat helpful there. But so what's your new stack going to be for software, like PHP, Java, Python?
Well, it gets interesting. So, have you ever heard of Progress? Progress Software. It's a database company, as well as there's actually a programming language.
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah.
So our application was developed 30 plus years ago on Progress, and it's never been rewritten, right? It's continuously morphed throughout these years here. And so I'll say the new stuff that we're building, we're using React.js for sort of the front UI. And we're actually integrating with like another third party is the best way I can say it. They provide a platform for communications. And as part of their platform, I'll say half of their sort of web page, I'm not a huge web development guy, but half of their like web page or frame that they have allows you to really insert your application. So the whole left-hand side of like this web page is their application, it's their communication stack, texting, phone calls, emails. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, it's kind of picture a drag and drop type thing where you drop your own application. So you're loading your own pages, you're loading your own stuff inside there. And then we can communicate with our backend system that way. So we're hopping on top of an existing platform, but the UI components that we create in this existing platform will be in React.js. And then we're using a lot of C#.NET is like the programming language for business logic, SQL Server, database, backend, IIS for the web services.
Yeah.
So Microsoft stack for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. I get those things conceptually, but we don't do any Microsoft development. It's all like Linux backend, a lot of Python, some PHP, and yeah. We have a lot of clients that do software development with our, I didn't actually introduce myself, but with our Crafty Penguins business, it's all like Linux server support, and a lot of that is software dev teams. So we support them on infrastructure.
Okay, makes sense.
But yeah, I know somebody, another SaaS owner, CEO, who does Progress, White Star software.
White Star. Oh yeah, White Star. Yes, we've used White Star Consulting. Adam Whiteman, maybe is his name.
Don't think it was Adam. It was the owner. I've been in some kind of roundtable groups like this in a conference we were at. Paul, I guess. Yeah, Paul Kufelis. Adam. Well, Adam's been around for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, I don't know about the other guy. No, Adam is the Progress, I'll say, knowledge base. Yes, he's been working with Progress software for a long time. So we've used him for some consulting projects that we've worked on.
Rob, yeah. No, I had a couple conversation with Paul. It was all around marketing and growth and sales and stuff. Yeah. Good. Okay. Kayla, any questions or for Jason with what he shared, or how he's using top left, or any comments, or was that helpful for you? Or what are your takeaways there?
Yeah, that was helpful. I didn't know it could be used so many different ways for so many different departments. So that's good to know. I'm still kind of figuring out how I want to run my department. So it's good to hear what other people are doing and see what options are out there.
Yeah. Yeah. The idea of some of this Kanban lean thinking is not necessarily top down saying, hey, this is the way it's got to be, command and control, but working with people to get the ideas from them. Because that's how you get the real buy-in. So that sounds like that's what they're having, a lot of team discussions about how do we want to do this and how can we improve the flow.
Or once you get a priority, right? Why is that ticket higher than these 4 tickets? Why are these 4 tickets below this ticket? Those conversations just start to happen because you're setting priority and it's so visually easy to see. People will start to question why, which is a good conversation to have. And then, if they start working out of order, then you get to ask why. And then again, generates more conversation as well.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome, Kayla. So Kayla, you want to introduce yourself and tell us, I guess, about how's your first month been, I guess. So
yeah, so I've worked in healthcare for about 10 years. And I just made the switch over to IT the 1st of December. And I am managing a service desk at an MSP. So it's going well. Everything is new. So it's like a major crash course in everything. but I have a really good opportunity to revamp the department and create some good processes for us and look at how we've been doing things and how we want to start doing things. So I'm excited to move forward with that. And top left is definitely interesting to me. We are also trying to become more agile. And we do a little bit of true methods also. So that's a little bit about our company.
Yeah. Just quick question. Were you, I think, because I work with so many MSPs, but I think, so you're with Dominion Tech, right?
I am, yes.
Now, I think they work with Manuel Palachuk around Agile Service Delivery. Is that right?
Yep, he is my agile coach.
Nice. Yeah.
Do you know Manny?
Yeah, I've had a bunch of calls with him. Yeah. He's one of our top left partners.
Okay.
He sends us some clients and we help him out. And yeah, he's been encouraging me to go hard with top left since, well, the last 4 or 5 years, I guess. He's like, this is a huge opportunity. Just do it. We did it and we're growing. So yeah.
Good advice.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just curious, that's a big change from healthcare to managed services. What skills or experiences you think are really helping you with that, even though you don't maybe know all the ins and outs of tech?
Well, at its core, it's a customer service industry in a sense. So I learned a lot about dealing with people, and that helps me on the coordination side of my job. Also, generally, healthcare tends to be short-staffed and fast-paced. So I have just been picking up technical skills as I go because I need them, or I needed them to function in my previous position and didn't have time to wait around. So I learned a lot that way, and that's how I got interested in it.
Yeah.
So just some basic tech skills and then managing people.
Yep. So how many people are in your team?
I have 4 engineers on my team.
Okay. And yeah, we just hired a service coordinator who started, I think, beginning of November. So we had somebody else that wasn't working. So we've got somebody new and it's going so much better. But we made
good.
Previously, the previous person was a bit more of the text would report to the previous coordinator. So we changed it with a new hired new service coordinator. She's in the team and she and the text report to the service manager. So I was just curious how your company has decided to do that. Do these texts report to you, or are you in there supporting them and you all report to somebody above?
Kind of both. We are in the process of hiring a director of operations who we will all ultimately report to. But I manage and I support them. So I have kind of a managerial role and a coordinating role smushed together.
Yeah.
I try to manage the work to make it easier for them and to make everything flow smoother on the back end. I'm always poking around and manage, and then I do a lot of the client contact stuff so they don't have to. And then on the other side, I make sure that they're following agile processes, department SOPs, clocking the right times, handle any issues that come up.
Yep. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just always curious about, there's no right or wrong. It's just like, how is everyone doing it? And maybe I can learn a thing here to there of other ways of looking at it. So
Previously, we had a manager doing 2 different departments, and I just decided to specialize. So I am taking over service desk, and she has moved solely to a different department.
oh, yeah. Was that Tiffany?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, she joined one of the previous calls. I remember that name. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. She's doing professional services now, and I'm doing service desk.
Yeah, we're kind of making that change in our MSP as well, as because we got like 6 techs in the Windows side, and we got another 6 techs in the Linux side. But in the Windows team, we're kind of everybody doing service and projects, and the projects were suffering. So now we're like, okay, let's have dedicated project manager and resources and make sure it gets attention.
Yep, exactly.
Do it. So okay. I guess how can Jason and I help you with something that you can be highly successful in your first year?
Oh, good question. I'm not prepared to answer that.
Or the next 3 months? What does
The next 3 months.
success look like? Boss is happy and giving you a raise.
Less open tickets. We have kind of a bottleneck with tickets in the waiting on client status right now, which is something that I just talked to Manny about at our meeting yesterday. And then we just have a green team, so we're working to train them. So hopefully things move faster that way. And I'm just trying to get a handle on the workflow and create some processes to make everything flow smoother for us. So I'm still figuring that out. For me, success in 3 months, I would be done onboarding, and I would be more comfortable with manage and interpreting some of the tech notes on the tickets. Those are the sort of things that I am working on.
Yeah. So how many open tickets do you have now?
We're in the 90s today, or they're not open. That's our total ticket count in the 90s. Let's see what we have open. Oh yeah, current open tickets, 93.
And that includes the waiting ones?
Yes. So I would say we are struggling. We do a pretty good job of breaking even every day with the amount of tickets opened and the amount of tickets closed, but we're having a hard time getting over that hump so that we're able to dig into some of the stuff that is less urgent, that's kind of just sitting around.
And what does Manny suggest? What do you think? What does Manny say needs to happen?
Well, we just talked specifically. I've had one meeting with him about the waiting on client tickets, and it's a combination of how we communicate with clients, how I'm scheduling things, and then we just need to find the balance between customer service and a workflow that works for us. He's suggesting that we just automatically close tickets if we don't get a response after a certain amount of time. That's the big thing that he wants us to work on. So we would reach out to the client a certain amount of times. We wouldn't just close them, but then if they don't reply for 3 days, we'll send them a reminder. And if they don't reply for another 3 days, they're going to get a message that says, hey, we haven't heard from you. We'd love to help you, but we haven't heard from you. So just reach back out when you're ready to work on this with us, and then close it out.
Do you have any process now to call the clients if they're not getting back?
Not defined, no. We do have automatic email alerts sent out after the certain amount of days, but nothing is set up to trigger us to call them. It's just me doing my daily check through of the tickets that are sitting and seeing if I can move them forward at all.
Yeah, well, so here's my experience. I met with a client last week, like 3 hours. It was not it was good, but one of those more uncomfortable things, but it was good for both of us and got good feedback. And he had asked us to move all the tickets, anything IT, is like send it to IT at his company because it's a separate mailbox from his regular mailbox. What it turns out is actually, so we're sending all these follow-ups. Hey, is this done? Can we close this ticket? It's going to his other mailbox. He's like, there's so much stuff in there, I don't look at it. So, and he's like, previously we had a tech, like we didn't have an official process, but a previous tech who left in like October, he quit, went somewhere else. He was doing like just of his own initiative, twice a week, he'd call the client and just say, how are these tickets going? We're waiting here. And then, well, Austin left and nobody's doing it. So, so now I've got the new service coordinator. She wasn't doing this. Nobody asked her. We didn't know this was a process. So now she's doing it. Get a quick call with them or send an email summary. Hey, here's the 7 tickets that we think we're done. Do you still need them? What are the priorities? So I think that will be a game changer for that relationship because he's feeling neglected and we're emailing him. He's not getting back to us. So there's just tension there because some people just get a lot of email and they prefer phone.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that the calling piece does still need to be in there. I actually came from one of our clients before.
Okay.
So I had worked with Dominion Tech service quite a bit. And being in the clinical role that I was in, I was not able to sit at a desk and constantly check my email to look for updates from techs. And I also didn't really know that that is how they communicated. So I definitely ignored a fair amount of emails that I probably shouldn't have because no one ever told me that was how it worked.
Techs are scared to pick up the phone. They want to keep sending emails and I've seen it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where I come in, is the actual person-to-person contact. So I'm thinking now the process might be we send the 2 automated emails and then 1 or 2 voicemails that we document, and then we'll start auto closing things. And then we can say that we reached out, at least 4 times, and a little bit of client re-education needs to happen, but I think it'll be worth it in the end.
Yeah, I think it's valuable to have the conversation with the client and saying, hey, we're sending you emails. What's going? Do we send you too many emails? What would help us? Is there certain things we shouldn't notify you about? So it's really more action oriented. Like some clients want to know everything because they're detail oriented. Some are like, what's really urgent do I need to decide on? Everything else you do for me.
Yep.
So it's just being on the same page with the client on communication.
Exactly. We are working through documenting things like that for specific clients, but it's in the newer stage, so it's definitely not in there for everyone.
Yeah, we do some company level notes in Connect. Like for this client, this is how their communication is. So even when you open a ticket, it pops up and manage and says, call them or only email or put this in the subject, just whatever works for them. Because a one size fits all, like just never works.
Yep.
Yeah, I just thinking out loud here, a quick way to use top left to do that could be find the 5 clients you want to follow up with first, drag those to the top of your column and say, these are the ones we're going to hit off first, versus saying, hey, there's 90 tickets that need follow-up out there. Let's start following up. We'll help identify the top 5 tickets you want to follow up on, put those at the top of the list, and maybe start dragging those, visually across to went from customer follow-up to completed or something like that. Just trying to think how to use top left to help solve the problem that you just identified.
It's a good idea to focus on the oldest 5.
Yeah, whatever your priority category or criteria is fine. Just identify those 5 and put them to the top and say these are the top 5 we're working on, or 10, 20, whatever works for you. But that's kind of how we work. Again, top left, you're supposed to be working from the top left of the screen. So however many lanes and columns you have set up, use that as a starting point and put those at the top, and those should move from left to right to a completed status at some point.
Right.
Yeah. So you can also use the neglected work. So you can set the rule. So it's in this waiting client status. It's in that column. Is say if it hasn't been touched for 3 days now, okay, Kayla needs to call them. You can set it's going to go red, and then your job is to get rid of the red by following up, touching the ticket, calling them. But you could also have a workflow rule in ConnectWise that moves it to another status of, okay, we've already emailed once or twice, now need to call. So you could use leverage automation in the PSA as well, so that the ticket moves to the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
Next action. But
Would be helpful.
what I found is clients can get, from talking to customers, they're like, you got a great team, you got 5 techs, and you're spread out to work, that's great. But then I'll get 4 calls from different techs following up on the tickets that are assigned to them, because they're following up on their own tickets that they own. But what's more efficient is one person should call and ask about all 4 tickets instead of 4 different calls or voicemails. Just kind of batching some of that too, that like, hey, you see the oldest ticket for this client is now 5 days, you need to call, but then ask about all the tickets while you're on the line with them. It's like an account at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just kind of a process to build out. We do some scheduled calls as well. So I think like Chelsea, our coordinator, she's in her calendar, call this client every week at this time for 10 minutes and clear up tickets.
So you have clients with enough tickets to warrant that appointment? Okay.
Like this client I met with for 3 hours, they've got, I think there are 100 employees. They have an in-house IT kind of manager technician. So we work with him.
Mm-hmm.
But between the proactive tickets, there's project work we do, there's help desk escalations, because he's like tier 1, tier 2, and we're tier 3. There's just a lot of there might be 15 or 20 tickets going on for one client. You got to navigate that, and it's client specific.
Yep.
Yeah. So how many of those 93 tickets are waiting?
Let's see. $38.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And the oldest. Actually, most of them are pretty old. It's like an average of 2 to 7 days with a couple, with like 6 over 10 days.
Yeah. So it's our numbers we have a lot more tickets than that and a lot more older tickets, but it's a different type of work. So it's a bit hard to compare between MSPs. You got to look at your own numbers and see what's acceptable.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Drives me nuts. I'm not really I haven't figured out what is achievable yet, but I would like to see this at least halved and then not get past 6 days is the goal that Manny was talking with me about yesterday.
Yeah, we have this course we offer clients called the Completed Ticket Challenge, which is kind of like weekly coaching and some videos and training. It's like a 3 or 4 week program. Could be helpful, but since you're working with Manny, then I don't know if it makes sense.
To double up?
I don't want to cause conflict or you're confused about, oh, Manny says this, but Matt says that. I don't want that. But basically, it's a bit of training. There's videos to watch, and then there's a weekly call with Matt and anybody else in the program. There's typically 3 or 4 other coordinators, service managers in there. Compare notes, and it's all about getting that, closing more tickets. And do you
want to send it over just in case I can review it?
Yeah. I'll pop that into the chat. Where is chat? There, yeah. Yeah, tickets staying open for weeks or months, work forgotten, the customers follow up, people overwhelmed, controlling the chaos.
Sounds about right.
You're definitely not in the worst situation I've seen. Like this is actually pretty good, and that you want to move it, tighten it up even more is great. It's going to be amazing where you guys will be in 3 to 6 months with the stuff moving really quickly and getting followed up and closed really quickly.
Yeah, I'm excited. And we are doing well. I mean, it's a lot right now for us, but our clients are happy. So that is one of the most important things.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can take your experience of having been the client and how you're communicated with and how you felt, and then you can actually do something about that.
Oh, definitely. There are lots of ideas for when I was on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing to watch for is making sure technicians aren't cherry picking tickets and doing stuff that's easier, and kind of avoiding procrastinating the ones that require more conversation or yeah, they're in their comfort zone. That's kind of how you get tickets that linger on for a while, because they're doing the easier ones. So don't let them.
Yeah, they're pretty good. There is a little bit of that going on for sure, especially since our 2 tier 1 guys are both, I think they both just hit the 3-month mark. So they're pretty fresh. So they do tend to be a little bit hesitant with stuff. Like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
But now I have time to watch them and kind of point them in the right direction if they do need help.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so kind of wrap this things up. Yeah, biggest learnings from our time together. Jason, what's some big takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds simple, but the easiest one for me is the API keys tech-wise. For us, that'll be a big change from an auditing standpoint. So it's going to save us a lot of time. But again, I took away the traction conversation, the what the heck book I wrote down here. Look at the Scrum Bond, I think, video you mentioned, top left there. Those are kind of probably the biggest takeaways. Also, just maybe I'll say confirmation that you didn't say that we were doing anything crazy or out of the ordinary. So just confirmation that we're maybe on the right track or utilizing it correctly is helpful as well.
I think what other actions might you take or need to take, or conversations to have?
Yeah, I mean, again, specifically for me, I'll be working on those API keys and tech-wise. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me.
Yeah.
I'll also be sharing probably just the results of this talk with Ryan internally. Again, him and I work on this quite closely together, as well as a couple of the team members. So at least share the outcome of what happened here.
Yeah. Great. And would you attend again?
Yeah, I think it's just helpful. I mean, again, it would be nice maybe to have a few more participants, but it is what it is, and whatever. Otherwise, I enjoyed the conversation. It's nice to hear what others are doing, or again, hearing from top left directly.
Yeah. Yeah, my goal was that I wanted more people to show up. I've got it designed that we can do breakout groups, but the numbers aren't there, so keeping it informal. But
yeah, that's what it is. It's okay.
We'll try to get more, but yeah, I would love to get 15, 20 people showing up. But I know even if I'm just talking to one MSP and having a great conversation and getting feedback and going back and forth, that's already a good use of my time. I don't mind doing that. So I'm committed to doing this and keep showing up and getting more people coming. So
yeah, shouldn't complain. We got a lot of attention, so I really shouldn't complain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to be able to ask you questions directly.
Yeah, always reach out, right? Like we're here, the support team, Stephen, we're here. So drop a note. We've got the team to respond quickly. But I know sometimes it's easier to have easier to have the call and like this, and scheduling can be hard. So yeah, my goal of these is to have it as networking roundtable and not directly about the product. But hey, if that comes in, hey, it is top left after all. So that's okay. That's the focus, right? But it could be marketing or tech or tools. I don't want to get too far astray with tools because it's not necessarily useful to everyone else on the call to deep dive into RMM or antivirus or something. But that just depends on who shows up and where it goes. Okay. Yeah, Kayla, biggest learning and actions that you're going to take.
I learned that there are a lot of tools out there and a lot of support if you just ask for it. This community is great. I didn't know that we could email you questions directly if we had something specific. What actions am I going to take? I have such a big list of things.
What's going to move the needle the most in the next month?
Oh, I want to work on workflow, talk to them about cherry picking, how escalations are happening, make sure that they're staying within their work times. And then with me scheduling and auto closing things, I want to take that waiting on client list down.
Awesome. And are you going to attend again?
Yes.
All right. All right. I've got a bit of time yet if there's questions about anything, but otherwise we'll wrap it up.
No, I don't think I have specific questions. I think covered a lot of stuff today, so I'm good.
Yeah, we did. I'm looking forward to the next one when I've been in it a little bit more. I'll have some more questions and some more to contribute.
Yeah. I do have a video specifically on the cherry picking. That's kind of why it's been top of mind for me. So you can see that on YouTube, and it's a blog post.
Okay. Check that out.
Yeah, thank you, Jason, for all that feedback on the email and our conversation. It's great to hear that you're using everything and want to use more of it. So
yeah, I was going to add, be happy to have a further conversation on that email if you want, or again, if we can be some sort of early adopter, customer, beta, whatever you'd like to call it. I think we're interested in that. So just reach out if that's something you guys are interested in as well.
I'd like to do that right away because I'll connect you to my team about the Nave. I'll just tell them we'll get that going. So probably make work with Sam on that. He's the lead developer on that. Get that going. I had one question about your email. You talked about tagging. Now, what did you mean by that?
Oh, let me see if I see the email. That might have been more Ryan.
It's like an at mention of somebody where you say you at somebody and pull them into that card.
That is possible because again, that wasn't easy. Right now in top left, you can choose a checkbox to send the notification to the resources, but you cannot see who the resources are. So I guess that's our limitation, is that it's hard to say, am I sending the notification to the right person? So yes, in Trello, you can use that at, like you said, username sign, and then you can essentially direct the notification directly at that user. That would be helpful if we could communicate that way via ticket notes or something along those lines. Let me see if I can decode what Ryan is saying otherwise. Tagging. Use more tagging concepts or tagging concepts. I have to assume, again, just based on our conversations, I'm making an assumption here, is that just the visual indicators of some sort, just more information being able to show on that ticket or card. It's not really a tag though, and the ability to style. I'll have to clarify for you. Unfortunately, I don't know. I'm kind of making stuff up as I go on here, so I don't want to do that for you.
Because the card shows who's assigned to the ticket. So I don't think it was that. we show a lot of info.
You do have the icons, who's assigned to it. So if I hit edit ticket, it's probably more or less from the actual ticket itself. And again, this is sort of a difference between when I'm in ConnectWise, you're entering a time entry. You can, again, in that time entry window that pops up, the resources are listed there. You got the contact, the owner of the ticket, the resources, that CC field. And so again, it might just be a training thing to say, hey, look at who the resources are on the card or ticket prior to you opening up enter time entry. Yep, so right here.
So right, it's on the, we've kind of copied, cloned what ConnectWise has. So just to send notes as email, to do your notes, your time entry, tag people. Now, if you just want to send them an email, no time entry, I know ConnectWise has the box. Oh yeah, here, you can uncheck this. So you can say, hey, are you done yet? So you could go like this, put it to the internal notes, and only ping the resource. Now it's going to be all the resources on the ticket.
Yeah, and see, I think that might be, I'll say the gripe. So right there, contact Patricia Ned. So you can see that individual name. So now you know who the contact is. So resource, at this screen alone, I don't know who the resources are, right? I'd have to kind of close this out and go look at the front of that card or ticket. So does it say BP right there?
Yeah, I wonder if ConnectWise shows it.
I know we should implement this, man. See, we use Okta as well too. I don't think ConnectWise managed integrates with Okta.
Yeah, we did a big 2FA push a year ago or something. So I got, I don't know, like 24 things in my Google Authenticator. So here, if we do time entry,
Wherever that pops up.
say I don't. Because ConnectWise, it's an all or nothing as well. It shows a name of Brent's on the ticket, but it doesn't say, let's say Brent and Joe were on it. It wouldn't let me pick individually.
Correct. So I think you're right. So I think the fact is that like they, at least our users would like to see Brent and Joe show up in that enter time entry window, just so they know they're sending it to Brent and Joe. I think that's really all they're asking, but you're correct. Yes, they will send it to all resources, not just the individual resource.
Yeah.
Again, now these are minor details. They're minor improvements we're talking about here now, because I agree with you. The resources are on the outside of the ticket.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that it's a simple thing there. It seems to me, it seems simple. It's like we have the data. It's just show the name of the resources in that time entry window.
Yes, you just feel more confident about these are the individuals I'm going to notify. You can't really go double check before you hit send without closing the window, and then having to re-enter everything that you've done.
Yeah. I'll screenshot that and pass that on to the team. That seems like an easy thing to just go do. Sure. But maybe when I respond to your email, I'll ask about like, hey, what do you exactly mean by the tagging?
Yeah, that's fine. I can follow up with Ryan. That is from Ryan, so I can follow up with him on that.
Yeah. Yep. And then again, the UI is to really mimic a lot of what the Trello ease of use, kind of more intuitive things. I don't know what you want to call it. Web 2. I don't know. It's not Web 2.0, but just the modern feel. Just getting that in.